Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call to order this public meeting of the Board of Johnson County Commissioners on this Monday, June 10th, 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m. Please pray with us if you care to, and then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you bow with me for a moment of prayer, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful stretch of weather we've been experiencing. It's a great pleasure to have that with us each and every day. And dear Lord, as we recognize here in the country a degradation in our families and core families, I would just pray that those who are in a broken family situation will recognize that they have a heavenly family which they can access each and every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Also, just an announcement, if you are here for the solid waste bid opening, the bids were due at 10 o'clock in the office, but the actual opening of the sealed bids will not be until 11:30 today, 11:30 a.m. this morning. So if you are here for that, I apologize. I guess there was some confusion, but we do have some other bids that are being opened, but that will not be one of them. So with that said, opening of sealed bids for Johnson County Park Camp Store.
I think we just had the one. It is from Duke Commercial. And their bid is for $1,659,000 and no cents. 1659000.00.
It's the only one. I'm going to recommend give that to Commissioner Baird and West Harrison for review and come back with a recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Opening of sealed bids for Johnson County Sheriff Training Center Phase 2 project.
Back left.
The first bid is Charles C. Brandt Company, Construction Company, sorry. Their bid is $1,647,000 and no cents. 1647000. The alts are, alt 1 is $6,350, 6350. Alt 2 is 2800, 2800, and no cents. Alt 3 is $12,550, 12550. Alt 4 is $4,550, 4550, and Alt 5 is $80,150, 80150. Next bidder is Boyle Construction Management, Inc. Their base bid is $1,725,000 and no cents. 1725000. Alt 1 is 5,600, 5600. Alt 2 is 6,600, 6600. Alt 3 is 11,500, 11500. Alt 4 is 2,000, 2000. Alt 5 is 46,000, 46000. Next bidder is DeWeese Construction, Inc. Their base bid is $1,434,218, 1434218, no cents. Alt 1 is 5,525, 5525. Alt 2 is 2,520, 2520. Alt 3, 13,740, 13740. Alt 4 is 15,205, 15205. Alt 5 is 78,800, 78800. Your final bidder is White Oak Construction Corp., DBA White Oak Commercial Group. Their base bid is $1,416,638 and no cents, 1416638. Alt 1 is $5,865, 5865. Alt 2 is $5,077.50, 5077.50. Alt 3 is $14,708.50, 14708.50. Alt 4 is $16,680.75, 16680.75. And Alt 5 is $67,017.50, 67017.50.
I would move to give them to Wes and Commissioner Baird to review and come back at our next meeting with a recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Nineveh Fire Protection District, request to reverse restrictions on cumulative firefighting building and equipment fund. Morning, Chief.
Morning, Commissioners. Chief Joshua Snyder from Nineveh Fire. Thank you for allowing me to make the meeting this morning. I'm asking to reverse Resolution 2021-R-6. When we set up our CUM fund, you guys put in place where we could not use any of our CUM fund to not be used for directly to build or used to start to build a fire station. After a meeting with Commissioner Baird, we have been given the green light to move forward with planning on getting the ground broke on the new fire station. We have one of the oldest fire stations in the county right now, 1955. And I'm just asking if you would reverse that so I could use the CUM fund for soil samples, architectural fees, and such like that to get the ball rolling on getting the new building going.
I'm just curious, obviously, I signed and passed that resolution, but does anybody recall why we put that in there?
I was gonna say,
You know, that was really me after meeting with Nineveh Fire and Josh, Chief Schneider. I just felt at the time we weren't where we needed to be as a fire department, and we needed some improvement in certain areas. And I worked with Chief Schneider on what those improvements really needed to be. They have done everything I asked. And I feel at this point in time, whether we considered a merger or not, that they do need a new building that will facilitate them for what we're doing. We've got on-call status down there now. I mean, there's just a lot of difference and changes that we've made to make that more productive and sound down there. And I think with everything they've done and the way they've completed the task that we needed to do, I think it's time. It is, that fire station is a mess.
Yeah, it's just old. I mean,
Yeah.
Assistant Chief Brooks is here. He and I we try to do everything we can to keep it going, but it's outdated. I mean, we just need to get it updated station where we can function better. If we have a truck issue, there's plenty of trucks we can borrow. We just had one go down back in April. We had plenty of trucks that we could borrow while our truck was down, but they won't fit in the station. So that's our biggest thing is if we have a maintenance issue, we can't just leave somebody else's fire truck sit outside while they let us borrow it. So,
And I think at this point in time, the building does basically, I guess, prohibit them from doing some things that really need to be done to take us to the next level, which they're doing well. And I think that, my opinion at that time is, show me, that we can get things done and we can do things the correct way. And they've done that, so.
So is there a need to reconsider the max cum rate also?
at this time, sir, no. That will be at a later date when I would be coming back. I had to get this roadblock open for me to start working on the project to come back and talk to you. I've met with Jeff Peters and he advised me this was the first step I needed to take.
All right. I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I do want to thank Chief Snyder and the whole department in Nineveh. That it is just a total new ball game down there, and I just think we're doing a fantastic job, and I'm really proud of what we're doing down there. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much to all of you.
For drafting purposes, for whenever we amend the resolution, are we just striking that section 2 restriction entirely, or we're just gonna limit it just for the soil samples and architectural fees?
Just strike it. Yeah. They need to be able to move forward.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Elected officials, department heads, assessor approval to attend the 2024 ICAA Summer Conference in Fort Wayne, August 27th through the 29th.
Morning, Mike Watkins, County Assessor.
Morning, sir.
I wanted to clarify on that very quickly. The amount that we put forth is just for the room. The signups for the conference itself have not gone live yet. But since we needed approval for the room, we wanted to get this before you as soon as we could.
And I assume you have that in your budget for the rest of the money?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. No problem.
This is a state-called conference.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I was just gonna ask
Motion
Mike a
carried.
quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I got it done. I got it in.
That information you were gonna get me last week, were you able to get that?
Yes, I've been corresponding with the taxpayer regarding that, and we're working on it now.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Number 2, approval of sales order and service agreement.
Well, we didn't, I don't think we got a motion in a second, I don't think we,
Yeah, I did.
did we?
Yeah, I just get it in over him talking,
Okay.
but I did get it in. We can redo it if you so choose. So we can redo it if you so choose, but I did get it in. The auditor heard me, I was looking at her.
We're good, okay, we're good then.
Go ahead with the second one, sir. It's pending legal, by the way.
On the copier,
Yeah, Van Arsdale.
I don't have a problem with it. I would move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Pending legal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Auditor approval employee extension of time.
Elizabeth Alvey, auditor. I'm just seeing if we could, Amy Thompson has 57.5 hours, and we're hoping we could get that used by 8/12. The reason she had her anniversary date is June 12th, so she won't be able to use all of it then. This is because we were kind of short-staffed. Now we're fully staffed, and then we did have some various projects that had deadlines that she couldn't leave at that time. She tried.
I know, I guess though, didn't we do this same thing last year? So have we resolved the issue to where we're not gonna have to do this again next year?
I hope so. We'll just make sure that she,
I mean, and I know she's, doing work for the council that's also taking up time. Maybe there needs to be a process done to readjust some things. I know she does get a stipend for doing the work for the council, so, but then if that's part of the reason it's causing this extension every year, we need to look at that process and what's being done in that, as far as I'm concerned.
okay.
Not that I have any issues with extending people's time for that vacation, but it's 2 years in a row, just kind of tells me we've got a problem somewhere, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We'll work on it for next year.
Yes, we will
Okay.
work on it for next year.
I will move to approve them.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
While
Thank you.
we're on Amy Thompson, just real quick, I want to make a public announcement here that Franklin Parks and Recreation had a pickleball tournament this past weekend. And Amy and her daughter got gold medal in the women's doubles, and she got silver in the mixed doubles. So quite an accomplishment. So congratulations.
Obviously, she has time to practice pickleball, right? That or she's a natural talent.
Yeah, it's a natural
It's a
talent.
natural talent. Congratulations, Amy.
Are we gonna see a head-to-head with you, Commissioner West?
Huh?
Oh, that's a good
Are we gonna see a head-to-head
idea.
with you, Commissioner?
I think we ought to have a challenge.
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I'm up for that. Heck, yeah.
Billie Jean King did it a long time ago.
Are you ready for that, Amy? She has to take her vacation time first.
Yeah.
Well, she could do it on vacation
Oh, there
time.
you go.
Yeah.
We could have a tournament and put it together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Make it a challenge. Health Department, hi Betsy, sorry.
I bet.
Okay. Betsy Swearingen, Director of the Health Department.
Ordinance 2024-0-5.
Just go try this again.
Well, I read through this. There was one section, I'm trying to find it here real quick, where it says that the health department will use their reasonable judgment. I've always kind of had a problem with that terminology, reasonable judgment. I mean, reasonable, I would like to see that more clearly defined if it was if possible. And then also under the appeal process, I had a problem with when your appeal is only with the agency that cited the violation to begin with. I mean, that, to me, I thought maybe there should be a third-party appeal process there, maybe the commissioners or somebody. Those are just concerns that I had when I read through this.
We had some concerns with some of it too, but this is the state's rule, and we are adopting it because we cannot be more strict. And anything that we do differently,
Yeah.
thanks to the bill that passed last summer, we have to go in front of this group of people, and let's just say it hasn't been very successful for those counties that have gone to that group asking for things to be different than the state's rule.
Yeah, and I understand that under the state's requirements, but I'm not sure on either of those issues that would be more strict than what the state's putting forward.
I think statistically, you can look back at our record, and I don't believe that we've had very many cases, if any, that a reasonable agreement wasn't made between all of the parties involved. And I think if it did come to that, they felt that that was unfair and they wanted a third party to be brought in, we wouldn't have any issue with bringing in a non-biased third party
Yeah, well,
for appeal processes.
but I'd feel better if that was in as a
Adam,
part
can
of
we do,
this.
Adam, can we do
I mean,
anything about that?
I mean, add it, I don't think it's gonna be any more stringent. It may just be something that the technical review panel takes a look at. I can't imagine that'd be a reason to not approve the ordinance for Johnson County at that level, but who
I'm
knows
fine
what-
with that.
Who knows what we'll do, so we can.
Sure, whatever would
those
make you more
adjustments.
comfortable.
I mean, I'll make the motion to approve pending adding some language in for a third-party appeal process, if that makes you feel more comfortable, Commissioner.
Yeah.
And we can
then
submit,
also
they'll submit
maybe-
that back to the state. I don't know if the state would have a beef with that or not.
We can always submit it to them. I think they recommend if we have any kind of quirkiness to our ordinance, for lack of a better word, we can always submit it to them ahead of time to get their input, and we can see what they say.
Okay.
So we could delay a second reading until we hear back.
Yeah, and then something on the reasonable.
It's just kind of a standard legal terminology, just to.
The only reason I bring this up is because in the past, prior to Betsy, who's a wonderful department director, believe me, there was some issues in direct interest here on septic system for a business, and I got involved in it and kind of helped come to a mediated solution, but there was nothing definite. I mean, the director at that time could have just held fast to what was there and nixed the whole doggone thing. And I had concerns back then with exactly how that process should develop, especially in light of an appeal. Because any appeal at that time was right back in, just like this ordinance, and it wasn't going anywhere, I can tell you.
I will say this one is definitely less in favor of the county. I mean, there's some things in this ordinance that we don't like, but we're not gonna fight holding tanks, for instance.
Yeah.
We've never allowed holding tanks in Johnson County, but we are now. So, and we've got 2 that are going in already, so I think it is pretty much in favor
Yeah, but
of,
it's-
more so in favor of the residents.
It never has worked, never will work. And and just to kind of go in tune with what Betsy's saying, was real contentious over this bill with the state, at the state level, and will continue to be contentious with this bill, and we're going to be contending it again, trying to get some changes made to that. And my point on it is that Johnson County is a unique county in the way that we are structured, from our municipalities all the way down to our agricultural down in the south, especially if you consider the lakes that we have, that can be a problem with septic systems that aren't installed correctly and properly. So this bill from the state might be good for some areas in some counties of the state, but it is not for Johnson County, and never will be.
Right.
This is a bad bill. I've said it from day one. I'm going to continue to say it, and I'm going to continue to be public with that, and I'm going to continue to put pressure on the state to make this right.
Thank you.
For the safety of our citizens, and drinking water that comes out of these
Absolutely.
lakes and a lot of different things. The way we were doing it worked, and it was going to continue to work until the state interfered. So I have some real issues with this too, Betsy, and don't think that I won't be in there swinging that bat, because I'm already started. So we're gonna work this thing out somehow.
We appreciate that.
So just hang in there. We'll keep fighting. May not win, but we're gonna keep fighting.
At least they'll know how we feel, right?
They're gonna hear it a lot, so.
I was also curious on the fine of $2,500. Is that part of the state's requirement, or is that something we self-imposed?
That's, what we passed is passing the state's rule along.
Okay, that is, again, that seemed a little exorbitant, I think, in some situations.
It is not more than 2,500, so it's just a cap. So
Yeah.
they would allow the health department to find something less than.
So that comes in under reasonable,
Well, and we have to understand too, this bill was fought basically by vendors and contractors that wanted to go around the system because they didn't agree with the stringency in the system, because they want to sell septic systems, and I get that. But we have enough of that kind of lobbying going on in a lot of other areas, and some things it doesn't affect. But when we're talking about citizens' health We're talking about diseases and control of things that can happen from those mistakes that the state makes. That's a totally different issue when it comes to lobbying. These people aren't lobbying for the citizens and the
No, they're
safety of the
not.
citizens. And this is just wrong. It's just dead wrong. I'm gonna keep saying it till somebody takes it to the highest level, but anyway, we're gonna keep talking about it. But thank you, Betsy. I do have a motion.
Well,
We can delay the second reading until some of this gets worked out.
all right, and I will second under the condition that there's gonna be some change in verbiage.
And he is, the motion
Yeah,
stated
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
that the
added
change-
that language back in.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Thanks,
Aye.
Betsy.
Opposed? Motion
Thank you.
carries. Thanks, Betsy. Keep fighting. Court Services Adult Community Corrections approval of contract with Buddy for test alcohol monitoring equipment pending legal.
Good morning, Tony Povinelli, Community Corrections. Just looking for approval to enter a 10-day test contract with Buddy Systems for continual alcohol monitoring for 5 units, no cost.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries pending legal. Highway approval and execution of County Road 144 and 625 professional services agreement. This is the first. Hi, Daniel.
Good morning, Daniel Johnston, Highway Engineer. So that is our first item. Sent some follow-up information to you after the prior meeting, so if you have any questions, I can answer them for you.
Of course, this is a precursor to the roughly $500,000 installation of the equipment in conjunction with this, right?
So that's the price I mentioned at the prior meeting. Afterwards, I went back, double-checked our funding application. That was an all-inclusive cost, design, construction, if there was any utility design or utility relocation that might have been necessary. You had asked about the construction cost. The
Yeah.
construction itself is more on the order of about $230,000. Our intent is to be able to use our own in-house crews to install as much as of the items as we will be able to. It may be necessary to use some outside contractor or outside inspectors to complete the work, but we intend to lower those costs as much as possible by using our in-house crews.
I just kind of a gut feel for this. I still have a problem with that kind of expenditure. And understanding your concerns for the safety at that intersection, but to notify the people that are coming up to the stop sign that there's traffic on the main thoroughfare, I don't know what real purpose that serves, in as much as you got stopped, they gotta stop anyway. And in so doing, they're gonna be able to observe traffic, and I'm assuming line of sight's good at that intersection, so they're gonna be able to observe traffic coming from either direction. I just hate to spend that kind of money for that, and I know that you mentioned, Daniel, the equipment could be reused elsewhere on other occasions.
That's correct.
With all the needs we have in the county, I just really struggle with it. That's just my personal gut feel, nothing beyond that.
To your concern about sight distance, when Corradino performed the road safety audit last fall, one of the accident trends was a 90-degree accident from traffic on the southbound leg, trying to make a turn or to cross traffic from westbound vehicles approaching on 144.
Yeah.
There is a rise in the terrain there, so
yeah.
there is a bit of sight distance issues. This would just be an added layer to try to communicate and alert drivers. You mentioned the stop sign. This doesn't somehow negate the validity of that stop sign, yet drivers will still need to
Yeah, I
stop
understand.
and obey all the normal traffic laws.
Those are just my thoughts and concerns. And then you mentioned trying to supplement some of the construction with in-house. Again, whatever labor would be dispensed in regard to the installation could be used elsewhere, I think. So those are my problems with it.
Oh, I know. I mean, there's problems at that intersection. And anything that I feel we can do to push the safety forward currently until we get a roundabout put in there and fully funded, which we are working towards with the impact fees, it's still going to be a year and a half out. I mean, your estimation, Daniel, year and a half, 2 years out before we actually get the roundabout put in. So I don't like to spend the money, but I think for the safety concerns, I think we are due to do that. So that's.
Yeah, and of course, the example I've used in the past is that in the United States, there's between 40 and 60,000 people a year killed in automobile accidents, and we could almost completely eliminate those deaths with a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit. But the public wouldn't tolerate that, right? I mean, so at some point you have to make a decision. How much exposure are you going to allow in regard to safety versus total safety? So that's always kind of the way I looked at it. It's still a responsibility of the drivers when they see that stop sign to make sure that they can cross that road or access it left or right in a safe manner. We could put, other than gates up, I don't know how you would ever get to a zero fatality exposure there. That's just where I'm at on it. So. But thanks anyway. I like you guys, and I like what you do, for sure.
I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I'm assuming I'm going to have to second that. And I understand Commissioner West's concerns, because there's a lot of money that needs to be spent in a lot of other areas that might be more prudent, I guess, for the county as a whole, but sometimes you do have to think of the few and the issues that we're having there. And the fact that this could be used at another intersection when this intersection
We've got multiple
is
locations
corrected,
we
we
can
have
put it at.
multiple locations, so just so you all understand my reasoning behind my second on that. I agree with a lot of what Commissioner West says, but I also understand the problem that we have at that intersection at this point in time, so I will second that.
We just got, since they have taken away all of our access points to 69 now, it has became,
Even more.
traffic counts were up at the Smith Valley rate
yeah.
as far as numbers. It's just a lot
You
more
can see it.
numbers of traffic moving it.
Drive it,
And
you'll feel
Drive
it.
it,
Yeah, you'll feel it.
take that turn. and
Oh,
see.
I do, I have.
Yeah. So-
There's a lot to it there. Anyway, I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next,
And my second item, this is requesting your approval and execution of the construction plans title sheet for the Bridge 98 rehabilitation project. Bridge 98 is in Needham Township on 700 East, right on the north side of the Ermeyville Road intersection.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Approval and execution of service agreement for DOT services with Indiana Testing, Inc.
Luke Maston, Highway Supervisor. Yes, this is a follow-up to an agreement that we already have in place. We've actually extended once related to our CDL drivers and certain federal requirements that are involved in maintaining their files. There are some additional services in here as well to use as an as-needed basis if we so choose.
That's
Approve.
That's a motion and second. I assume DOT means Department of Transportation.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's also a pretzel that my 5-year-old grandson introduced me to over the past vacation.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good too, so just wanted to clarify that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Under Board of Commissioners, appointment of board member to the Johnson County Library Board for the remainder of the term expiring on April 1st, 2026. Of course, the previous board member was Dan Mitchell. Had served on this board since 2014. He passed away on 5/14/2024. And prayers and condolences to that family, and thank Dan for the work that he did on the library board. I know my wife thoroughly enjoyed working with Dan when she was on that board, so do want to give our appreciation for that.
Well, we had several applications in regard to this position, and I want to thank everybody that did submit an application. I'm going to recommend David Bogus. I've met with Mr. Bogus on a couple of occasions. His background is retired military, and then after his retirement from military, he served a time in the private sector in the banking industry. Him and his wife, Robin, just moved to Johnson County about 5 years ago, but a really nice couple. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him and understanding his thoughts and opinions, and I'm going to recommend him for this appointment.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second for Mr. Bogus on the Johnson County Library Board as an appointment for the commissioners. Any further discussion? I will say, and I guess I need to say it is we've had this discussion many, many times. Still, a lot of times we appoint board members that we really don't know anything about, that we just know what they tell us. And then it seems like sometimes when they get in there, they don't abide by what they say they are. So please understand, as a commissioner's appointment or a council appointment, whoever that appointment is, does work in representation of the commissioners. And I would think that we should expect some kind of report occasionally, like the council gets from their library board representatives, all our board appointments. So I think that's something we should consider as a requirement for that position in the future. I want to put that out there. But
Good
anyway,
idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I know the council did it. My wife came and gave a report to them. She was appointed by them. So I just think that's a good idea to make sure that we're standing in the same place that we want to be. So anyway, with that said, have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we do have a lot of appointments that we are responsible for. More than we want, I'm sure.
Surprise.
Number 2, Resolution 2024-R-6, resolution approving the acceptance of opioid settlement funds from the town of Whiteland, Indiana.
Move to approve.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3.
If I could just add a comment to
I was waiting.
like I never do that, right? I talked to Sheriff Burgess this morning about his RX purchases at the jail, and some of those prescriptions for some of those inmates are over $4,000 a month. And I was just curious as to how those people supported that prior to going into the jail. Of course, we don't know, and it'd be speculative to even, I guess, put forth an idea. But the reason I wanted to bring it up with this is it might be that this opioid settlement fund through grant applications might be available to the sheriff in regard to some of those RX purchases. I mean, he had over $30,000 in 1 month in RX purchases there at the jail. So I just,
It's massive.
after seeing that and talking to the sheriff, I thought that might be an appropriate area for some of those funds through grant application, because the jail serves the whole county. It serves the town of Whiteland as much as it does any other area, so.
I would say if any of the medications qualify under opioid recovery or addiction, yeah, I think it would.
Yeah.
But I think if it's for cholesterol medicine, I don't think it's gonna qualify under the
Well,
opioid settlement
no,
money. I
but-
could be wrong.
It'd have to fall under the exhibit, I think it's Exhibit E is what it's called. We'll double check.
We'll
Yeah,
research.
just a thought, help the sheriff out
Yeah.
on his budget.
I know the health department intends on applying for the grant program, so I don't see why the sheriff's office couldn't as well, so.
All right,
Okay,
move to approve. Or did we already do that?
we already did it.
Well, then I'll second it.
It's been-
Already did that too. I'll vote
That's
on it
okay.
then. Already voted on it. Never mind.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. He does that on purpose. It's just testing. He's testing. Rejection of Milestone Contractors LP bid for the Johnson County Fairground repaving project.
You skipped
Oh, I'm sorry, did I skip
We
one?
got 3, we got the bond.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe that was on purpose. There's your sign.
There it is.
Resolution 2024-R-7, resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the County of Johnson, Indiana, approving the issuance of local income tax revenue bonds with property tax pledge of the county.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
I think
Opposed?
we ought to
Motion carries.
mention it's 38,400,000 that we've got line itemed here.
Does this have anything to do with our normal GOBs or just that?
This is the,
So they separate.
Just particular one?
We should also
What I
probably
thought.
mention that it won't be any new taxes being raised either, that we're just taking the current tax rate that we currently have and just leveraging that for the bond. So no new tax increases will be felt by the taxpayers.
And honestly, this does really show how well that we do manage money in Johnson County and the ability to be able to do some of the things that we do without raising taxes and
Yeah.
doing things like that. So to the council and all those involved, the auditor and us, just thank you very much for that dedication. Now, rejection of Milestone Contractors LP bid for the Johnson County Fairground repaving project. Reason being is that it is over budget for that paving project. So we will make some changes to the scope of work on that project and rebid, which I think is
Going out in 4 days.
going out in 4 days to relook at that, and hopefully we'll get that within budget so we can get some paving done out at the fairgrounds. It desperately needs it. We just need to make sure that we have enough money to cover it, so.
Move to approve.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further?
One thing, will that paving take place before the 20, or be after? Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Just
and
so-
we were trying to get it done before, so we were kind of rushing it, which I think is part of the problem and why we went over budget, is we
Okay.
just didn't take the time we really needed to
Just
figure out
wanted
what
that
needed to be done, but
Out there to make sure they wouldn't be expecting it this year, be post-fair.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Ratification of Worcester Construction Company change orders 11, 16, and 17.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Ratification of Patriot Engineering and Environmental Inc. proposal for geotechnical engineering exploration.
I'm going to move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Number 7, ratification of S&L Specialty Contracting Change Order number SC-1, which you have in front of you, both of those.
Patriot.
Second.
Yeah, we have the other one too. Right there. Underneath all the other
Oh,
paperwork.
underneath all of it. We got a first and a second, I think.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New and old business claims. Commissioner
well.
West.
Move to approve?
I have a brother t-shirt.
Put this on speed.
Speed dial. Speed dial. We're on speed dial.
I haven't brought up T-shirt Express for a while, but
I saw that.
yeah, the prosecutor had
Picture.
a claim for $268 at T-shirt Express, and what they got was
Oh, yeah.
one man's Shadow Strike polo shirt, one Tall Sport Tech 1/4 zip sweatshirt, one lady's long pocket cardigan, one Eddie Bauer ladies Weather Edge 3-in-1 jacket, and $2 fee for larger sizes. Well, first off, I'm gonna say to the county council, they just need to do a better job in appropriating these line items, putting money into a line item for wearing apparel when I just don't think some of these departments really warranted. But I look at this and I think, if we had a claim come through here, we had an employee that bought $100 worth of groceries because they need to eat to survive, to do their job, we wouldn't stand for that. We'd be all over that. To me, buying this type of clothing for individuals where their job just does not warrant the need is beyond me. I'm gonna vote not to pay this claim. I just think it's out of hand myself. It's not a lot of money, I'll go with that, but still, it's the principle behind it.
Never had that one before, have we?
And in a lot of ways, I don't disagree. I mean, we have seems like we have a lot of clothing that's just not necessary for the job responsibilities and duties. Just because we want the badging or whatever that says where we're from doesn't necessarily.
Well, and I still contend if that's their reasoning, they can buy ID tags that clip on their shirt or jacket or collar or whatever, which would be more official anyway in its appearance.
If we're gonna do this, I think there needs to be better guidelines put out for us.
There is.
There are some agencies within our county that do need to be identified in the field, that I do support having stuff, name tags, identification on their clothing. If you so deem there's some that shouldn't, then we need to clarify that to those departments so they have a better understanding instead of just trying to massively take this thing on. So we need to get in the weeds with it. We need to identify the department if that's what you're wanting to do. But there are some within the county that do need identified in public at all times. So I don't know what to do with this one particular. I don't think we've given good guidance from our seat to the departments on who and what can do what, when, how much. So I'm gonna move to approve all the claims this time until we give better direction from our side on who needs this identification in the field. So that's what I'm gonna do.
I don't have a problem with identifying me or letting them identify and justify the need, yeah.
Justify the need. Well, the other side of that too, though, is I know for at least 8 years, I've heard Ron discuss these issues and how the funds were being used for what type of clothing. So we have been really discussing it. It's just nobody's listening to what we're saying.
Well, I guess we need to get
So I-
more specific on it, say. the
Well, this is
auditor's
pretty
office doesn't-
specific.
Doesn't deserve, sorry, I'm picking on Elizabeth.
No, I mean, this is pretty specific. But Ron's stating what that is pretty
Yeah.
specific.
I think we individualize this pretty efficiently.
I won't second it. I mean, I voted against the Star Trek video. I'm not gonna vote for this. So I don't know how we do that unless,
I guess my motion dies.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna approve claims with the exception of this particular T-shirt express claim in the prosecutor's office.
and I think I'm gonna have to, and I know we're going on this one to try, I guess, make a statement at this point in time that we're not gonna tolerate it, so I'm gonna second that. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we gotta figure out, the auditor has to figure out how we do that, right? Yeah, okay, we're in charted ground right now. We're stepping forward. Commissioner minutes, 5/20/2024, regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Limited to 5 minutes per person, please. Do we have anybody?
Sheriff's on the.
Go ahead, Sheriff.
He's on the edge of
I'm
his
kidding.
chair. He's not gonna say anything.
He's on the edge of his chair.
We don't have any takers.
I was talking about these shirts and T-shirt Express.
We got a
George
picture, we're
Johnson
gonna put a
County
Ron up there with his T-shirt Express shirt on one of these days.
I got my shirt.
We'll get him a team
And I wear
sponsor
it
or something.
sometimes.
We got a picture of it too.
Friday night, Josh was with me and Chief Deputy Barnhart. We got a call of a lost 3-year-old, and just to watch the first responders in this county come together and locate a child, and Josh can say this, you talk about different things, we worry about the mental health of our workers because we didn't think it was gonna turn out. You know, a tragedy turned into a reunion that night for those parents. And I couldn't imagine what they were going through, but just to see everybody come together, it's not like who's gonna take in charge. Let's get together and let's find this child, and it happened. Even on Saturday, Doug Carter, State Police Superintendent, called me, and great work. We couldn't have done it without them and their helicopter, but I'm just proud of all the safety workers in this county and what they do for us.
Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was great.
You know, we're doing a lot of exciting things in the county right now. The park camp store and new offices down there, which is gonna be just really a real step forward for the park and the people using the park. Our training center facility becoming the state-of-art facility that it's gonna be. You know, our safety personnel, and I'm talking our fire, our EMTs, our police, everyone, we are at a very high level of how we process things, how we do things, how we train, and we just continue to improve. And the things that we're doing are going to continue to improve the park for the people that use the park. It's just a little gym down there for the safety of our people in this county. We're way ahead. We are leading, we are not following. And I just want to say I'm very proud of all our public service, our parks, and everything that we're doing right now. We are just really, really on the move. And making headway on making changes for the positive in this county. So thank you very much to all of you. I know we stand up or sit up here sometimes and condemn a little bit, but we also have to understand that we're doing some really, really good things too. So with that said, all hearts and minds free and clear.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.